Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla stock, let's go over the market, let's talk about what is happening in the markets, what we can expect moving forward, and all of that good stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed, please don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, etc., updates, whatever, I do share my thoughts with my members every single day the market is open in my YouTube membership. Link is below, $3 a month, mainly Tesla, sometimes other stocks as well. Or $5 a month gives you access to the second tier, which includes NVIDIA, and the first tier, of course. But anyway, jumping into it, Tesla, with a pretty nice day, closing nearly 5%. We'll say, we'll give it the benefit of the, not the benefit of the doubt, but we'll give it that leg room there. We'll say close to 5%, closing at pretty much $236 per share. So what does this actually mean moving forward for Tesla stock? Well, we got that, nice little pump during the JPOW, and then we had some nice pretty solid profit taking that happened post event. This is exactly when the JPOW event officially ended, and we had some nice profit taking. Then we're kind of consolidating sideways and whatnot. So what does this actually mean moving forward? So Tesla stock, let me remove these just for now. Was setting up interesting things, right? So we'll start the 15 minutes. Yesterday we mentioned how, and we actually set up potentially some bullish patterns here. So yesterday we mentioned how we were technically setting up what, again, technically speaking, could be that bit of a bear flag here, right? But I also mentioned, on yesterday's video, how Tesla tends to like to take, bear flags and bull flags and almost do the exact opposite, right? Because, typically with the bear flag, you would expect this massive drop down, consolidation, continuation. Usually Tesla likes to do the opposites. Same with bull flags, right? If you get like a nice rally up and consolidation, sometimes you make your way down. I explained it all in yesterday's video. I don't want to go over it again and waste time. Check it out if you haven't. But nonetheless, obviously we got that nice gap up. We had that news that happened overnight about Tesla getting the permit for robotaxis, or at least getting much, much closer in California. And that caused a pretty nice pump pre-market. And then of course, Tesla continued to pump throughout the rest of the day. So that's kind of what happened. Now, what do we actually, look at overall? So after we had this nice also breakout of this falling wedge here, we had a nice little retest, made our way even higher, and we essentially did what I wanted to see. Now this falling wedge is essentially done, so I'll go ahead and remove that. Actually, I'll keep it for the screen for the video thumbnail. I need to make a thumbnail of this quickly. But essentially, what we did was we rocketed back up past this crucial area that I was mentioning yesterday. 232, 233. Pretty much the low-ish, we'll say 230s, right? I was mentioning yesterday how what I want to see Tesla do is something like this, and that's so far playing out according to plan. So obviously, there's still more work to be done. We're not out of the woods just yet, but that's a good start because we ended up taking this level that was a resistance, and now we turned it back into support after breaking past it on this candle right here. So all in all, not too shabby. Now there's more work to be done, and I'll talk about what I want to see next essentially to really get this breakout. But there is a damn good chance that this was essentially a double bottom type scenario. We also had a very large bullish divergence. It's not a strong divergence, mainly because it was pretty much equal lows, but the RSI still made, you can see, very meaningful higher lows. So it's a medium strength bullish divergence, but a bullish divergence nonetheless on the 1 hour time frame. And of course, you can see it pretty much the same thing on the daily, where also, we pretty much went to equal lows, but the daily you can see here making very obvious higher lows. So we're seeing bullish divergences across the board, which is a good sign, right? Bullish divergences are usually, not always, but usually more often than not, pretty powerful stuff. So again, Tesla's not out of the woods just yet, right? On the 1 hour, I'll go over more of what I want to see, but finishing up the daily here. So obviously, we're still kind of getting resisted by this red line, this kind of channel that we broke down. Remember this channel we broke down? We've clearly been kind of finding some resistance around there, right? So this is going to be definitely a level that we want to break. So essentially closing back above this channel, really, honestly, high 230s, maybe even 240s sometime tomorrow or Friday would be kind of the game plan. I'll go more about that, of course, in the 1 hour chart. But the thing I also like is the fact that Tesla is also getting very, very close to a bullish MACD crossover. Now, keep in mind, this MACD has crossed bearish all the way up here back when Tesla, I think this was still like closer to the mid 400s, right? And it's been crossed bearish the whole way down. And, which just shows how aggressive and how unusual, you can say almost, this selling pressure was. Because if I zoom out, and this is Tesla's MACD, of course, this is going back all the way to pretty much 2019 right here, before it gets more wild and the volatility really kicks in, right? This is way before that. You can see the MACD, never has it fallen from pretty much the highest point it's ever been straight down to the lowest point it's ever been in the last, 5 years, we'll say, or about 4 or 5 years. It's never been this slow, and it was never even this high back at the, when we were closer to $500 per share. But the best part is we went down in one fell swoop. Not a single time did the MACD cross bullish. This just kind of shows the, pretty historic, I guess you can say, levels of downward momentum that Tesla has experienced. Like this is not an ordinary sell-off. This was substantial. Like this, again, we talked about it before, but just to reiterate that point, it's a very, 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 very aggressive selling pressure. Now, the thing with this though is it's kind of like a beach ball. When you take a beach ball and you shove it down underwater, the harder and the deeper and more aggressive you're putting it underwater, and then you finally let go, the faster and higher the pop of the ball comes out of the water, right? Similar concept. And you can apply that similar logic to, the stock market, right? Especially for a stock like Tesla, that's, pretty volatile, but is known to kind of, burn the shorts or whatever you want to call it, right? When you take a stock like Tesla and you put this much very fast, very aggressive, very relentless selling pressure on a stock like this, once it finally does bottom, which we'll talk about on the 1 hour chart very, very soon here, I'll talk more about that. You would naturally expect that the move to the upside should be pretty violent as well. So speaking of which, how do we figure out if Tesla has bottomed? Well, obviously there's no guaranteed way, right? We can only do with what we're made, with the tools we're provided with, essentially, right? One of which, and the main way I'm looking at it right now, is two things, right? Well, three things, but one of which we did, which is again, taking this and starting to create a nice potential pivot point here, which is good. 1 hour has also printed what looks to be a potential island reversal pattern, where essentially we had a nice large gap down, and then we had a nice little price action consolidating by itself into a large gap up. Island reversal pattern. Let me show you what that looks like here as well, just so you can kind of get an idea. Yeah, this is a pretty good one, right? Hopefully I'm not blocking it. I don't think I am. I'm not. So this is pretty much an example of what it roughly looks like, right? An island reversal pattern. You can see price action, gap down, sideways action, gap up, pretty much about to that same level roughly. And you essentially create this, price action down here, sort of in its own little world, if you will, right? Its own little island, right? Hence the name, island gap up in this case, right? That's exactly what we did, right? We ended up creating exactly that pattern. So far, so good, where you can see, we got pretty close to trading down here, but we never really truly entered the, actual vicinity of this island, which is good, right? So that's one. And the other thing I like is the fact that you can also look at it on the daily. It's a weird name, but we technically, I guess you can say, printed an abandoned baby candle pattern. Again, a weird name. But this is also what that looks like. Similar idea to the candle pattern, but specifically with one candle on the daily chart, which looks something like this. And you can, roughly see that this is roughly what we also printed, where we had a nice gap down by itself. You have a large gap up, and then now this candle is kind of, it's an abandoned baby. Again, very weird name, but nonetheless, we're printing essentially those two patterns right now, which again, as long as that holds, and essentially as long as we pretty much hold today's low, this pattern remains valid, right? So essentially 229 roughly. I don't think we'll go lower than 229, but if we do, this pattern will get nulled, and we aren't fully out of the woods just yet. So that's something to keep in mind, and that's kind of the bullishness that we are potentially setting up here, which so far looks pretty good. Now, as we pump today, this is the next thing I want to look at on the 1 hour chart. We ended up coming right over to this 50 EMA once again. This thing has rejected us several times, rejected us pretty aggressively here. Now we came up to it again, found some rejection, but we have started to reclaim the EMAs once again on the 1 hour chart, which is a good sign. Now we need them to cross bullish. We need Tesla to sustain this movement and not essentially collapse back under, which we'll talk about downside soon, because we're not out of the woods just yet. But what Tesla wants to do now is two things. After completing this, which we just did, we want to reclaim the EMAs, which we did, cross them back to bullish, which we're pretty much there. Should happen tomorrow morning, unless we obviously sell off very aggressively. And more importantly, we want to get these bad boys crossed over the 50 EMAs. We want price to start closing above the 50 EMA on the 1 hour, and we also want the 21 and the 8 down here to also cross the 50 EMA, right? Google's actually getting very close to doing it. You can see Google started closing right around it, which is good. It hasn't really done that for a while. It did a bit here, but the EMAs are also crossing bullish here, and all Google needs to do is pretty much also kind of sustain this movement without collapsing, and it'll do the same thing as well that Tesla, I'm looking for sometime soon, right? Which again is also crossing these EMAs back above, right? That's kind of the main step that I'm looking for on Tesla moving forward. And of course, once we accomplish that, that should ignite some serious, trend change and momentum back in the bullish favor. And then at the end of the day, we need to break above this kind of 252-ish region and make our way even higher. And that's gonna be the main things I'm looking for. Now, for the downside, well, obviously, if we actually get a severe rejection from here and we lose essentially, honestly, even losing like the low 230s would be a bit of a concern for me, but especially losing 229, that would be some red flags for sure, right? If we happen to lose those kind of levels, then Tesla will at the very least make its way back down here one more time for potential triple bottom. But at the very least, you would expect mid to low 220s as a retest once again. Obviously, if we start losing this mid to low 220s region, expect the next level all the way down here closer to about 213 gap fill roughly, which is going to be this gap fill from around here, give or take, 215, we'll say 213, something like that. Obviously, if we lose that, we go down even lower, closer to 200 is a nice little pivot point right here, followed by about 190 to 180s. And then worst case scenario on the daily, like I mentioned yesterday, if things just really go south and the market just continues tanking, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, will be a sell-off all the way to about 160s to 170s. That's the worst case scenario. But again, take it step by step, right? As of right now, we are showing some promising action. We have some bullish setups being formed. We have divergences. Like there is potential here. Now, whether or not we get that is a different question entirely, but the potential for a bullish reversal is it's looming. It's there. It's close. Not there yet, but it is close. So let's see how that plays out. Just essentially watch for those levels, and we'll see what that actually ends up, turning into. We have, of course, tomorrow we have jobless data, I believe, coming out in the morning, and Friday, more importantly, we have OPEX. OPEX is a big day, and I've said this before, but usually after the March OPEX is when the market usually tries to find a bottom and actually get at least some semblance of a rally, which I'm trying to find. I had a nice chart for it. I can't find it. I shared it with my members before. Was it this one? No, it's not this one. I had a good chart for this. I think it was this one. Yeah, this one. Right, you can see similar idea, right? March 8th to 11th, but then you have also the OPEX. Actually, no, this is not the right one. There's another one. I had another one. I don't know where it is. Anyways, the point is the fact that it showed that the March OPEX, which again is this Friday, usually tends to end this very aggressive selling pressure in the market, and at the very least, there's a relief rally for the next little bit. So let's see how that plays out as well. But yeah, with a daily crossover in the MACD coming up, and all these good news, in my opinion, starting to set up. There's still more work to be done, but the bulls, they have a damn good shot here to really turn this ship around back up. So let's see if they can follow through on that, because follow through is of course needed as per usual. But I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. I don't think I'm missing anything. I guess the last thing I want to say is the weekly. The weekly can potentially, if we actually get a strong close on the week, we can potentially print what looks to be a double hammer candle on the weekly, which, that's pretty good. We'll see how that turns out, but that is something to pay attention to as well, which should show a relief rally. Again, if Tesla does a relief rally, my main targets for Tesla stock will be closer to high 200s to potentially low 300s. Best case scenario will be closer to, in my opinion, about 320, 315, something like that. That's like best case scenario. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know if there's much more to talk about. So yeah, let's see how the week closes out. Let's see if we can turn this ship around. The MACD is almost there. So a lot of things are starting to line up. The bulls just need that follow through. Let's see if they can do it. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.